Well, welcome to the sunny backyard. Okay, here's the lantana. This is one of 4 in the backyard that made it through the freeze. It started off about a 1-gallon size, and now it's about 10-gallon in bloom. So here's the orange tree, and I've had to lop off a lot of branches on that because of the freeze. And we have positioned along this fence to be planted in a bed yet to be established 2 threesomes. A camellia with a white blossom and ligustrum, and they will nestle, in each fence panel like this. I want to get one more yellow lantana and put it on that last fence panel to balance the yellow along this fence line. And we need, in this blank space here, to add another hibiscus to balance that which is on the far left that you'll see in a moment. But I'll point out while we're in this direction, there's that gorgeous Carolina vine that the gardeners whacked on the backside, and it's slowly coming back, but it's mostly, as you look at it from the patio, you see all the bare branches. So when it blooms in November, it won't be solid yellow as it has been. It'll be sparse. Okay, now the focal point along this west fence line is the bird bath, bird feeder. These 2 bushes, shrubs that I planted, I cannot remember the name of, and I may be digging them up, Anita, because they are so gangly. I mean, they send out these stalks that blow nicely in the wind, and it's getting ready to have some sort of bloom. Let's see if I can keep my shadow out of the frame. If you look down on this branch, you see those little buds. So some of the branches have a lot of these buds, and I suspect it's getting ready to have a bloom. I can't remember what it's going to be, but mostly it's gangly. And you see those brown leaves? Since the freeze, I've had to cut off stems that the leaves curl and turn brown on. So the new stems are looking okay. There's the hummingbird feeder, and here is the braided hibiscus that was on the front porch. We had a pair at the entrance, but the other one totally died as a single trunk hibiscus during the freeze. And on the shed here, this is where we had the 2 palm trees that died. I don't know if I'm going to plant those little dwarf hollies there or not. The leaves are very soft. It's a holly by name, but doesn't have a thorn on any of the leaves. Adjacent to it is a blush nandina, left and right. And do you see how diminutive they are? They were planted as 5-gallon pots with giant mushroom domes of beautiful bicolored leaves. And the dogs, urinating on them, have stunted their growth. Now here's an area that I'm very happy with, and a dog that I love. But this is where I planted these little shrubs, 5 on each side, and they've just done brilliantly well. I established the beds diligently as best I could with excellent topsoil and fertilizer and on and on. So they were in 1-gallon pots, and they are just really booming. I'm going to walk into here so we get the lighting to be homogeneous on the screen again, and illustrate to you that when they come in season, they're all going to have these little white blossoms. But as you can see, they've done pretty nicely. Their branches are really coming up, and they were very hardy. They didn't die. Didn't lose them in the freeze. Now here are these 2 palm trees flanking this shed, the tops of which totally died And the only reason I still have him in the ground was after I had chopped off all the growth that actually, if you remember that photo of Ray, those palm branches were over his shoulders when he was up on a ladder installing those lights. And if you recall, there was a picture of him that I sent you, bare-chested Ray with his tattoo showing. Those palm trees were above his shoulder in height. So they are coming back. But when I went over to that shed and attempted to pull up the palm trees, the root and all came up like crumbled paper. They just did not do. These roots were totally well established for this particular variety. Now, the last thing in the yard that we planted was a gardenia bush. So I'm going to have a gardenia, fragrant smelling, right here next to the patio. And then this is how my coleus now looks. That was planted from a rooting that's no bigger than the size of my thumb. It's enormous. This little pelican actually is a solar pelican. There's my rosemary. It's gotten that big, so I'm very proud of it. This crazy plant I dug up out of the front yard yesterday and put in this pot. I had two, but it's a real succulent. The stems are these big juicy stalks, and if it gets the least bit dry, rather than being a mushroom in shape, they all just lay flat. It's disgusting. So I threw one away and thought I'd give this one a chance back here. And my ivy's doing well. There's your butterfly. My lavender is coming back from the freeze. Let's see. There's the lavender coming back. Oh, I failed to mention that on either side of those camellias, and the camellias are white blossomed, that's lime green ligustrum. I just love the color. It's so bright against that fence. And this morning, the ruia is very happy. There's got tons of blossoms every morning. It's just the happiest little stuff. So, and if one were inclined to sit on my bench, notice how tropical it looks.